rejection is part of the journey. There's a particular point you get to in life where you really don't care about the rejections anymore. I've been applying for One Young World since 2019, and I've always been rejected. Then the idea for Rafiki was already coming together. When we launched Rafiki, we did a press release. In 3 days, we had 1,200 users across 16 countries. And it has answered over 26,000 queries. And it's currently being used in 50 countries. I was like, wow, it's now Africa creating for the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Journey with the Data Dude. I am your host, the Data Dude. The incredible guest that we have today is Ahmed Kayode Alabi. Ahmed, welcome to the show, Tech Journey with the Data Dude, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, great to be here. Yeah, I'm excited about the conversation we'll be having and what I get to share about tech and every other work that I do.
Okay. So, Ahmed, I want to start with something very raw. You have impacted millions, built AI solutions, won prestigious awards, but I want to know about your 3 a.m. moment when you are alone. What doubt, what fear keeps you awake at night that you have never spoken publicly?
I really don't. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, what keeps me awake at 3 a.m. I think I think I've said it briefly, publicly, and I think maybe I didn't go into like the details. I feel like for a very long time, and which for a very long time I've been struggling to talk about grief. I was like thinking that I've never had the space to grieve, and because I lost my mom when I was 7, and since then it's been a kind of like roller coaster and journey when it comes to grief. There will be days where you would think, oh, what if my mom is around? I wish I can hug her. I wish I can just sit with her and tell her about my worries. There are other people who can fit in as a mom for you, but there's no one else like your own blood, in a way. And there are times where I just think about that. I just it's like I grieve a little bit, but I can't even grieve because I have to walk out through it. So I'm like, hey man, you need to wake up, just go do this. And every time I think that way, it's like I started noticing that grieving is a privilege. That not every one of us can sit down and grieve. That some of us have to walk out through our grief. That some of us have to like just get things done because we have no choice. Like if you were born in a place like Makoko, for example, which I was, if you're born in a slum or rural community, or you're a displaced young person, or you're even a refugee who have lost one or two of your parents, or who are not close to your family, you're grieving so many things. So there's not even that privilege and space for you to grieve. So for me, it's like, it's working out through my grief. But I now then notice that actually it's not me finding space to grieve anymore, but that was my way of dealing with grief. That was my way of processing. My way of processing was going through the journey, was, trying to get things done. And it is in that journey that I found my purpose, right? In that hard work, in that like going through things, working, creating, curating, talking to people, it was through my grief. And I think, sometimes when you grieve, you find purpose. But most times, people don't know. So most of the time I advise people that, if you're grieving, never allow that to stop you from, becoming or from pursuing purpose or from finding who you are. Let your grief inspire you to pursue something. So maybe that's one of the ways to deal with grief. So for a very long time, I didn't have an explanation for it. I didn't have an explanation for what it means, so it took me ages and time to find that conversation or to even start discussing it or talking it,
Hmm.
talking,
Hmm.
sharing about it to people. So
Yeah.
I gave a speech recently at the when I received the Being Edible Alumni Award, and my speech was on grief.
Hmm.
And I dedicated the award to like every person or every young person out there who have lost one or two of their parents and who are looking for the moments or chance to grieve. So yeah, grief is something that I have contended with for a very, very long time. It was something that I never said a lot of things about. Even for a very, very long time, I didn't even talk about losing my mom or growing up in Makoko for a very, very long time. Obviously, like I started talking about this like around 2017, 2018. It took a lot of courage,
Yeah.
you know, to
To do
tell
that.
my own story, to start like talking about my journey or my background. It took a lot. It took a lot. Like it was a process for
Wow.
me. So yeah, I
Wow.
just wanted to like touch on that a bit.
Wow. 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 Thank you very much. Finding purpose through grieving. That is something that I'm learning because you're absolutely right. A lot of people go through something, but sometimes it's an opportunity to even go through something so that I can actually discover, okay, what can I actually benefit from what I'm going through? You utilize that. Thank you very much. And this brings me down to this question. Recently, you mentioned having 12 rejections already this year. I want I wanted to share the most brutal rejection, not just the no, but the specific words they used that cut deepest. What did they say about you or your idea that you think that you still think about?
I think so I feel like one of the rejections or one particular rejection that that I don't think they caused it because I don't think I because maybe in the past rejection would have tortured me a little bit, but not
Yeah.
anymore because I've gotten like the biggest rejection already. So I would say that even I'm not scared of rejection anymore, but
Anymore. Okay.
rejection is not probably scared of me.
Scared of you.
And the reason why I said that is because there's a particular point you get to in life where you really don't care about the rejections anymore because the way you've been able to deal with it in the past, the way you're now speaking about it, So I openly speak about rejection because I'm like, okay, it's okay, it's fine. So when you speak more about rejection, what happens is that you reduce the potence or the power it has on you. Yeah, so I think for me it's like I've been able to do that a lot to the extent that rejection is also part of the equation. Rejection is part of the journey. But if there's anyone that is a little bit painful this year, because no matter how, when you receive a rejection, no matter how you will still feel a little bit of pain. Like you will say, oh, they didn't pick me. Okay, I will feel that pain. But for me, like, oh, this one is a rejection again. Okay, that's fine. We move. It's okay. There's no, sometimes I will even reply those who rejects me. I'm like, I know how difficult it must have been to pick somebody. This is a difficult process. I've been there myself where I have to select people. So I know that that must have been a lot for you. But yeah, thank you so much for even considering my application to get it to the stage. I just like kind of like, tell them things and it's fine, because the truth is that we may not align today, doesn't mean we will not align tomorrow. Most of the time people think that, oh, you would not align, but it doesn't matter. Like, so for example, I applied for the HP Digital Equity Accelerator, right? And I made it to the interview, which was huge, right? It was, the funding was good. And I was like, okay, I think there's a potential here, like 100
Yeah.
k dollars um, grants and 100K dollar worth of tech products, which is like almost 200K
Wow.
dollars.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, there's something here, right? I got into the interview. I was so happy, excited, I was jumping. I'm like, oh, finally, my funding is coming.
It's coming. Yeah.
And and then you do the interview. It was 15 minutes chat, and that was why I knew that okay, 15 minute chat is too short for things I would like to say.
To
But again, I
say,
think one of the
oh,
things we also need to learn is how to be precise. But in my own way, I tried. I gave my best. I showed up, within the 15 minutes. But I knew that wasn't my best interview because I used to feel like there's something I think about when I do something or when I do an interview. I know when my interview is actually really, really good. It's not that this wasn't good, but it wasn't. I didn't just feel like was it really, 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 really good. So and sometimes it's part of the days. There are days where I'll be having a bad day. And that's what I've learned that there will be some days you will have a bad day. It's okay. There are days where I will do an interview and I'm on fire. And I'm like, okay, it's one of those days, good day, So I think I've realized that that's actually life. There's not so many good days. There are going to be good days, but they all contribute to something. They all contribute to each other. And even when I did that interview, I haven't even launched Rafiki yet. So we're doing our alpha testing at that moment. So we're just about to launch, but we haven't launched yet. So to even use those ideas, and the ones I've done in the past to actually get into the interview, that's a big win already. It shows
Yeah,
the
yeah,
validation of the idea.
yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
yeah. So the rejection came, it took ages. I knew when it took ages. I knew that was a rejection
Hmm.
because they already selected. When I wasn't hearing back, by the time they said they would get back to
Hmm.
us, I
They will
knew
give
that
back.
something has happened.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I
Hmm.
reached out to
Hmm.
them. They're like, oh, we are still selecting. The way people
Oh,
organization would say,
yeah,
and
yeah.
after a while, I just saw the rejection and I saw that they've announced the winners,
The winner.
and they
Wow.
were they were like organizations who have also been existing, and
Hmm.
who have also had gotten some level of traction as well. So I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process. We dust our bags again, and keep it going, And I've applied for so many, 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 many ones like that this year already. Um, there was even one recently that puts me on a waiting list. So I think it was on Monday that I just got the email that you're no longer on the waiting list because everybody confirmed. And but we'll be on the lookout for you for the next cohort, or we would reach out to you later if we think there's an opportunity for you. And for me, and it was the way I replied. I told them, I'm like, the fact that I'm on the wait list shows that my idea is great and everything. I'm like, I know how difficult it may be to select amongst really good applications. Because one of the things that the mistake people make, especially entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs or young change makers, the mistake they make is that because they are saying they want to reject rejection, they then fail to build relationships with the people who have rejected them. So you're like, oh, I'm rejecting rejection, and you're sending very harsh emails to them that I decided not to take this rejection. That's not the way to reject rejection. The way to reject rejection is by trying again, is by reapplying, is by showing up, for your work and for your product, right? It's by showing up for your purpose because your purpose is greater than any form of rejection. And your purpose should be at the center of the work that you do. So when people say they are rejecting rejection and they are sending angry emails to the people who have rejected them, and I'm like, it's spoiled relationship that we may not align today doesn't mean we can align tomorrow. That closed doors doesn't mean closed opportunities. The door might not open today
Yeah.
doesn't mean the door would not open
It's more
tomorrow.
fun. Yeah. Wow.
There are
Wow.
places where I've been rejected the first year and the next year I got in,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because they
Can
already know me.
imagine.
And then they saw me in the interview. Oh, this man, you're on the interview again. I'm like, yeah, I'm here.
I'm here again.
Again. Also, it's and sometimes people look at efforts, people look at drive, people look at what you're bringing in, right? And these are some of the skills that people need to develop as well in between. That I see a lot of drive. Oh, I'm rejecting rejection. I'm like, no, that's not the good way to
Hmm.
handle it. That's not the way to handle it
Embrace
because
it. Hmm.
sometimes even if they put you as well in the position of selection, you would also reject somebody.
Yeah,
And
it's
somebody
difficult.
would also feel unjust, you
Hmm.
know,
Yes.
by
Yes. Yes.
you rejecting them. So obviously they could be biases. I'm not saying they wouldn't, I'm not saying those things aren't there. But let the work actually be the one to speak, whilst you're applying yourself and building
Hmm.
relationship. I even send those who reject me connection request on LinkedIn.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like,
These are insights. Hmm.
like let's
Wow.
continue this
Wow.
conversation. It's okay. Like I even
Yeah.
try to tell them that like it's fine, it's okay. Like, this is not it's not a do or die affair.
Do or die. Yeah.
Most
Wow.
people think, oh, it's a it's either you select me and I'm like, it's not a do or die affair, it's okay, it's fine. So I just
Wow.
wanted to touch
Wow.
on that,
Yeah. I love what you have shared because me personally, I'm learning from what you are saying. Trust me, to embrace the rejections and forget even if they reject you about something, you focus on the human connection aspect. Because based on what you said, because I think it works normally as a normal person. If I rejected you today and you showed up another time, that means I already know about you. I have idea what you want to even present. So the emotional connection will like it's there already, and there's high chance okay I may select you because you even come back and presented what you have been talking about, which is a strong feeling that I have about that. And thank you about. Then now you worked on career applying in 2023 where
Yep.
nobody called to 5,000 plus users for Rafiki AI.
Yeah.
To me, that is not just iteration, that is a complete breakthrough. Trust me. What was the exact moment you realized AI could solve what traditional methods couldn't? Was there a
Mhm.
specific conversation or incident that happened?
Yeah. So again, I think that when people want to build AI solution, they forget to think about the journey, or the process and how AI can be incredible and powerful. And I think the model I used to build Rafiki at that I've started using that model a long time ago manually. So in 2017, when we did our career talk, so we went to like a rural school in the Matogun Olambe community. I used to live in that community. And and then I used to even work in a factory. So whenever I am going on my way to it's like a palm kernel factory. So whenever I'm going on my way to the factory, I will meet kids. I'll meet kids on the way. Different. Some are out of school. I'll ask them questions. There were even days
Hmm.
where I would remove money from my pockets. It's not that I have anything, but the last money I have in my pocket,
Hmm.
I'll give them like, I know this is not enough for your school fees. Can you add it,
Hmm.
and give it to your parents and go back to school?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would just try and do the little that I can do in those moments.
Hmm.
And I can tell you that you're the first person I'm telling this. I don't say like that I give somebody like that money on the road like that. I don't tell anybody. And then I'll ask questions, and then I'll ask questions about their career and everything. So I knew that I had to do something within that community. So we went to one of the schools, depleted building, uncompleted building school. It was a public school, but it was very, very depleted. It was broken, the windows everywhere. So we did a career talk there, and I shared my story. My cousin shared a story around entrepreneurship, and one of my friends was the MC. So we're the three people who started then.
Hmm.
And we spoke about our career, and after the whole thing the students had loads and loads of questions. These are students who have not had a career talk before.
Oh
No
yeah.
has done any projects like that in their school ever before. They this is the first time they are hearing some certain things.
Hmm.
So they are like, oh, my parents doesn't want me to do this. I want to be an actor, but I love describing movies. There are multiple things to do that. So I started answering some of those questions, and my cousin, we did like a group. We clustered ourselves outside,
Yeah.
and they were
Hmm.
crowding. They crowded us, like that. And we were answering the questions. And at the end of the session, I noticed that my knowledge was limited, in providing career advice and guidance. Even though I've crossed the bridge they want to cross, I've graduated from the uni and everything, I noticed that I still had a long way to go.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
immediately I started watching YouTube videos. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos on career advice, from Ashley Stout to Celeste Edley. I was just looking at all the career TED Talk. So I watched everything. I created some of the resources we were using to deliver our career sessions then, and I came up with a model at some point called ISLP. So it's interest, strength, limitation, and purpose. So I'll be asking the kids, what are your interests? What are you good at? What do other people tell you you're good at? What do your friends tell you you're good at? What do you enjoy doing? What are you not bored of? So they give me multiple different responses. What is holding you back from doing this? What is all of those? So what do you want to do to give back to the world? What do you do for others that you don't request them to pay you for? And we are using all of those questions to piece things together. So we piece things together and we'll be like, okay, we think this should be your career path. This is a suggestion, these are the things you should be doing now. So we started creating career pathway plan for the kids. And so we started going to schools to run that. So we started training our volunteers So we recruited volunteers to join us then. So I created the resources, trained them on how to use those resources, gave them the resources to read in advance. So we started doing that manually, right? And we're getting, results and all of those things. And like I said, in 2018, I
Yeah.
pitched a startup called Career
Okay.
Box.ng. So I pitched that startup at the Young Professionals Boot Camp. So I made it to the semi-final of the pitch, for I think it was for 10 million
Wow.
naira. So
Okay.
I made it to the semi-final. I pitched, but I didn't get it. And so that was the first time I had the idea of a chatbot, a career chatbot, a career mentor using the chatbot. So I was seeing people chatting me on WhatsApp. I would reply to them, and I'm like, this should be something. So I I did the whole pitch. I was saying I'm going to make money through AdSense and all of those things, but none of those things worked. I was, I didn't get I think Inye and some other guys were on the judges then back then. So yeah, so it didn't work. So immediately I threw away that idea.
Oh.
I threw it away. And we were going again. I think it was like you said, we released the career pipeline. So we're like, okay, let's do a career pipeline. Let's get a number. We registered the number, did everything, let people call us. We provide career advice. We had volunteers. We're handling the airplanes. Nobody called.
Wow. Even not a single person.
Not a single person called.
Wow. That's
And
shock.
for me, it's like, I'm always like, it means that they don't need it. If people don't call,
That's
it means that it
there's no
wasn't.
market for it.
Yeah, it wasn't needed. So, and for me, it's like I'm always rethinking. Lately, I'm
How
always
do I
rethinking.
pivot?
So we also published a book then we call it Career Wisdom. So we wrote it in 2017, but we only had the money to publish it in 2023. So it was a book I wrote with a fellow board member, and the book had some of our ideas around career, around transitions, around stories of other young people who have been able to navigate their career. It has this model as well. So we kind of like designed the model in a graphical way. And we're like, when you do this, if you choose medical doctor, this is what you should be thinking about. So we're like piecing things together. So, and when students read the book, they could, at the end of each chapter, there's a worksheet that you can work with. So even the final chapter, there's a place where you can even have your own plan at the end of everything. From we spoke about focus, we spoke about strengths, we spoke about aligning interest and purpose, we spoke about many things, and we gave examples. So I wrote it in 2017. I am a board member, but we revamped it in 2023, and then we published it as well. So, and we raised money to print about 1,000 copies. We've been distributing it to schools. They've been using it. So when Gen AI came, I'm like, there's something here. There's something here. So I started, as I was using ChatGPT myself, I started seeing things. I'm like, okay, there's something here that I'm trying to understand. So, and for me, it's like I first exposed myself to something. I threw myself to a problem, and then I start figuring out the pieces together in between the journey. So I threw myself to that problem and I was figuring out what were the pieces. So last year I actually got into the London Business School Launchpad program, accelerator program.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Congratulations for
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I was in the program and, we're building MVPs, we're redeveloping idea. And even the main idea I was pitching was my skilltorural.org, which is a courseware. That was the main thing I was pitching, right? So in between the journey, I started talking about AI, interactive AI platform, having the opportunity for the users to chat, and it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. But as I was pitching, even though I didn't make it to the finals, I was pitching, the piece started coming together. As I would write, and I applied for this Oceanense fellowship that gives 100K with a bit of the idea. I didn't, but I shared a bit about it.
Bit of it. Okay.
It was piecing together during those moments. So it just kept piecing and piecing together like that. So when One Young World released an application for the Impact AI scholarship, to go to Montreal, Canada for their summit. I've been applying for One Young World since 2019, and I've always been rejected. And they used to have multiple scholarships every year. I think before I applied for that one, I've already gotten 11 to 12 scholarship rejections
Wow.
to attend One Young World since 2019. So, but the Impact AI was unique. It was
Hmm.
a unique one. So I looked at it. I looked at it. I'm like, there's a lot. There are so many AI ideas that I was already thinking about. So by then, the idea for Rafiki was already coming together.
Hmm.
So I said, oh, this is a model that I've done manually. I'm converting this model using AI, blah, blah, blah. This is, what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to convert our resources to multiple languages. This is the money that I've raised so far for it. Because then I also got into Western Union Foundation Fellowship,
Okay.
23 to
Okay.
2024. So I came second in the Western Union Fellowship. So they gave me like a
Oh.
$5K grant
Wow.
already to
Wow.
test things. So I had money to test. So I said, oh, I've raised, some this amount of money already. I was able to communicate a bit of traction here and there. So I made it, to that program. And, the good thing about the organization that sponsored the scholarship, Brand Tech, they are like the leading um, marketing AI company, maybe globally. And like they have even an AI product called Pencil. And they work with Google as well. Like it's a AI marketing
Wow.
tool where you can create and they work with like different group because they work with like Oliver Agency, they work with
Wow.
Jellyfish.
Yeah.
They, these guys are like very big in terms of AI
Hmm.
and all of this work, and so they are the
Yeah.
expertise. So we did the meeting with their team. They were like talking about our use cases and trying to test different use case for non-profit and all of those things. So I went to the summit, and then they used one of my use case was converting one of my videos to like another language using agent, and it was powerful to see, right?
Yeah.
And I started seeing other use cases as well. I saw people already working on AI, talking about their own work, and my brain started boiling. My brain started boiling. My fingers were itching.
It's
And
wow.
I needed an outlet. I just needed but and I went to like all the session I went to were on machine learning, on AI, even
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau spoke about AI, because we saw Justin Trudeau, he was one of the speakers,
Okay.
former
Wow.
Prime Minister of Canada. And he was talking
Yeah.
about how Canada has been at the center of AI development and all of those things. So, my brain was just like, and how we are like
Hmm.
the transitions generation for AI, how will be the centerpiece for AI and how we have to define, the kind of AI I want to build and want to use. My brain was just like on fire. And that's why the day I was most serious in that program was the day of AI. Was the day when they were talking about AI because that was
Yeah.
it was my interest
Interest.
point.
Yeah.
So I came back home and I wasn't still okay. My
Hmm.
brain was just like, so immediately I
But
picked ChatGPT, and I saw another layers of prompting because they showed us prompting through the session I
yeah.
attended. So I saw the
Okay.
layers, the deepness in prompting,
Hmm.
like, and how prompting is grounded in psycholinguistic. You
Yeah.
know, it's like the quality of the conversation you have, the quality of the question you ask, determine of the quality of the response you get.
Output. Yeah.
So immediately I started like thinking about things, and immediately I just went on GPT, and I'm like, okay, um, this is the model I built. So
Okay.
I wrote all the model, wrote the question, everything, the way I opened my book,
Start typing.
and I just typed it directly from my book, what we had as a prompt. So I typed everything, and I'm like, based on this model that I built,
Hmm.
ISLP, can you give me a career pathway plan on that 1 minute? And I got this, I was like, wow. So I said, okay, this is not interactional enough because this is direct. Can you make it interactional? So we started going back and forth. Oh, I can't code. Can I get a no code tool that I can use to build as quick as possible? So I need to build an MVP or a prototype. So immediately suggested different platform with their strengths. I was like, what's the strengths? What's the weakness of each platform? Then I landed at landboost.io, which is a chatbot development platform. So I went on landboost. I started putting my variables, put question, put variables, did everything. And then I tested it on WhatsApp. But what happened with
Oh,
landboost.io was that it was using predictive AI, not generative AI.
hmm, not January. Oh, I see.
So the responses were the responses that I've given already based on the variable, not that it was
Hmm.
generated. So that was when I knew,
Yeah.
oh, so this is what banks and all of this customer care uses.
Are you doing like a normal chatbot, not
No
AI
chatbots,
chatbot?
not Gen AI. So, I said just, so for me, that's how I learn. I pick pieces together. I started picking pieces and
Hmm.
everything. So it got to a stage where I'm like, I want this to be Gen AI. So I went back to ChatGPT. ChatGPT wrote me some line of code to go to webbook. So I have to connect it to webbook. I have to,
Yeah.
it started becoming really stressful. My brain was going, I was like, okay, this is now going above my own power, my power now. So because I was able to test, the basic version on WhatsApp, I tested it, I did a demo.
Yeah.
Then I even spoke to the team at Landboat. I booked a call with them, speak to them,
Wow.
everything. So after a while, I just said like, okay, let me. And I showed some people, few people that this is what I'm building. They're like, oh, this is exciting. Oh, okay. So I was just getting the whole idea. So I spoke to my developer that, okay, I think I've gotten to a place where I'm stuck. It's time for it to come.
Hmm.
So I communicated my product's vision and everything, took a screenshot of everything, took a video of everything, screen recorded all my thing that I've done already.
Yeah.
So it was easy to then communicate to another developer to develop it. And I think this is the reason why I think not technical founders should be involved in development,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it allows you to communicate your product's vision easily. So most of the
Yes.
time now I talk about tech, people are like, how come do you know about all of these things? I'm like, I'm involved.
Yeah.
I don't separate
Yeah.
myself from the
Yeah.
product.
You have the vision, so you need to tell them the vision of what to build.
Exactly. So like recently I started using terms. People like, how come do you know all of these terms? I'm like, yeah, I was involved. I was involved. So I did everything. Like even my tech guy was surprised. Like my developer was like, wow, so you've done all of this work and research already, and we built, we started building, and we started building and everything, but it was rigorous, the first version, I'm like, I don't like this. It's not interactive, we're also deciding, should we use WhatsApp? Should we use main platform, web platform? I'm like, the essence is accessibility. If I'm saying that I
Yeah.
want to reach underserved young people and displaced young people, then it has to be a platform that they can
That they
use.
already, yeah, and
And
they
that's WhatsApp.
already
And if
know.
you look at
Hmm.
if you look at the research, like in India alone, I think over 500 million messages are exchanged on WhatsApp every day.
Hmm. Can you imagine?
In Nigeria alone, I think it's about 60 million
Hmm.
messages. It might be much more. I don't know the data. I've
Yeah.
forgotten the data. But millions of messages are being exchanged
Daily.
on
Wow.
WhatsApp daily. So I'm now looking at all of those data and data sets. I'm like, God, this is our entry point to tech was social media on the continent.
Yeah.
Facebook, WhatsApp. Those were like even the two major platforms before that started following later on, Instagram and
Yeah.
Twitter and all of those things. So I'm like, even a village woman would use
What's up?
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Even
Sure.
people, petty
Petty
traders,
trader,
they will use
they can
WhatsApp
easily use it. Yeah.
and they can give it their phone to their children to use it. So I started piecing the data set together and how viable it would be. So I said, let's build on WhatsApp. The
Hmm.
purpose is to reach more people, not to um, gatekeep.
Build a new product for it. Hmm.
Yeah. So we tried to test on WhatsApp and everything. And, it was the first test wasn't that great. So I started speaking to people as well who are like my friends who work in tech, we're just bouncing ideas who have done their dissertation on this as well. I was just talking to people like, okay, so I went back and I wrote almost all the prompts. I wrote like
Yes, sir.
prompts. I was writing prompts and I'll write ins. Okay, these are the kind of ins, in a way that a
Yeah,
5-year-old would understand.
yeah, giving examples too.
Example, exactly. So I did multiple of that already. Then that was what we now use to train the model.
Uh,
So we then trained the model using those, and it was built using ISLP still. But you will not know when the post is chatting with you about interest. So you will not see that that is interest because it's just being generative and asking different questions.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's asking question on interest. But that has been pre-trained in a way. We've
yeah.
we've we've worked on that already. So so I started learning all of this. Okay, it has to be interactive. I'm like, we're even trying to even limit the numbers. I'm like, I'm not interested in limiting the numbers of chats people can have. People should have chats as long as they want
Unlimited
to have,
also.
because the goal is for them to get to a level where they can say, this is my plan. So we did it, and then we then test the second version. I'm like, yeah, this is working now. And then we did a better alpha testing within the team. So I opened a feedback document. As people were sending me feedback, I'll be copying them. Feedback. So I had a bunch of feedback. We'll be looking at the redevelopment, so it was rigorous, and by the time the final product was ready, I'm like, yeah, I think we are good to go. And in between that, there was also like, I got the Amazon Web Service cloud credit. So the education
Wow.
equity, we had an education equity initiative. So I was part of the inaugural organization that they selected. So I got $51,000, worth
Wow.
of credit. So that really helped us to
Wow.
like, build, that really helped us to like, they were,
Wow.
all of these things are being hosted, right? And you know how much
Yes, yeah.
cloud
It's very expensive.
it's very expensive. So those were the challenges I was facing in the beginning. But I was just always looking out for opportunities and everything, to plug in things. And, then the AWS cloud computing then hosts all of our tech products at the moment. So we are
Wow.
not paying for credits,
Anything. Wow.
for now,
Wow. Wow.
so it's,
That is huge. Trust me.
and
That
I
is
applied.
huge.
I submitted the application. I did. I applied. I'm not a technical person. Even the AWS people were thinking I'm a technical person when they chat with me sometimes, But I'm actually,
Wow.
sometimes I have to engage my developer. But I wrote those essays. I write those essays
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
non-technical person.
Wow.
I will write even how, what my use case is, what does my use case look like, I would ask my developer to develop this, I will learn, quickly, like that's how I learn about RAG. I started learning
Yeah.
about, different model for our use case because we are building a advanced version of Rafiki already.
Okay.
And, I'm already like learning different models we can use, and these are the things you just learn on the journey. And when we launched Rafiki, we did a press release, we on the, I think in 3 days we had 1,200 users
Wow. That's amazing.
across 16 countries.
That's amazing. Trust me.
Yeah, like in 3 days of launch, my team were
Wow.
on fire. Everybody were on fire. We gave people something new to believe in to the extent that people started reaching out for calls,
Wow.
just within 3 days of launch. And we started like growing like that. Obviously, the user things will drop in between, along the journey. So, and at the moment, like I said, it's like almost 5,300 users just in 3 months of
Wow.
launch. And it has exchanged over 56 to 57,000 messages, and it has answered over 26,000 queries. And
Wow.
it's currently being used in 50 countries across 5 continents at the
Wow.
moment. And we
Wow.
also trained school leaders because we're also doing rural outreaches. We trained 27 low income school leaders. 10 of them have retrained 70 teachers. and the teachers are now using it for over of their 200 plus students. So so there's the layers and layers of, like, it's not just about creating a product, it's also about accessibility, to the extent that my friend in Belgium was like, I wish I had this when I was growing up, because I'm using it, like, our largest user in Europe is in the UK. We have users in Qatar, we have users in Benin, we have users in Mexico, like
Wow.
countries that I don't even believe in. Brazil, we have users in Brazil. Pakistan, we have
Wow.
users there. Iran, we have
That's
users. Is it Iran or Iraq? I can't remember. We have users, like, it's Egypt. We have
that's
users in Egypt.
that's
We have
really
users in
nice.
Algeria. Like,
That's
you
really
know, I was,
nice.
because it could also do like almost 56 languages. So and I think there's something that Rafiki did for me. The Gen AI solution did for me was like giving people something new to believe in. It gave people something new to believe in. It gave people something to own. It gave people something to be like, I've been struggling with my career, but this is now something that I can hold on to. I can find a counselor on WhatsApp. I can find a career advisor on WhatsApp. And it's just here in front of me. So it gave them reasons. Like, there were kids who said, "Oh, I've been trying to solve a particular problem, and now Rafiki has solved it for me." Even between parents and kids, I had stories, and I was like, "Wow." So it was shocking that, and that shows how tech products can be powerful. How, and for me, it was like, we are not building for Africa. It's not Africa creating for the world. Because Rafiki gave me a new sense of, belief and identity and, power. And it was my own way of quiet rebellion, in a way, in a world where sometimes people don't value, products that comes from the continent.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Now, I've said a
This
lot
is
already.
this is huge success. Trust me, this is huge success. And now, imagine you sharing all this thing, and most people don't know about the beginning.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, most people don't know, okay, how many rejections you have, that you got, how you've started, how you were maybe ignored and everything. Now people will be saying, okay, Ahmed is doing this, Ahmed is doing absolutely great. I want to be like Ahmed. But do they have the guts that Ahmed have? Can they do like Ahmed? Can they sacrifice? You know, the struggles that you have to go through, can they survive such struggles? And this brings me to this question. Among all these successes, awards, and everything, what is the hidden emotional cost of this level of recognition that your audience don't see?
The hidden emotional cost is hard. It's the baggages that comes from doing all of this work. I think there's a lot of baggage that comes from this work. It's like, you're doing, because the tech product is one. I do many other things in between, right? There's still the main project we do outreaches for kids and all of those things. And when you do change work and you're somebody who tells your story on social media, you're showing up almost every single day. It comes with a lot of baggages. Like, every single day, I can tell you that there's no day that I don't get into my DM with people seeking for one or two supports. You know, some I can help, some I can't. In its totality, people want to raise money for them because I've done it for people in the past. And you've also gotten your own family also looking up to you for, like, support in between. So it's like there's a combination of different things coming together, and that comes at a cost. And it was like some days ago, I was just thinking, like, and applying for grants, getting rejected, and the fact that people think that you don't have the right to complain. You
Who do you
know,
want to complain to?
Yeah, exactly. When people feel like you don't have the right to complain. I was speaking to my younger brother recently, and I was trying to complain, and I'm like, Mr. Man, it's hard for me. Let me just tell you the truth.
you know,
It's not easy. The fact that I'm not talking doesn't mean that
it's easy.
things are not difficult, right? And that comes at a lot of cost. Visibility comes at a lot of
Hmm.
cost.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you're visible, it's
Wow.
it's a lot. Like, There are, people send voice notes, people will send even gory pictures at times. You're like, oh, I don't want to see that. I don't want to deal with that. Just, sometimes I might just go straight to the point. Let me know what you want. I don't want, like, I'm just like, let's just get this out of the
Let's go
way.
to this point. Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's I think those are the costs, right? Those are the cost of visibility. Those are the cost of working in change making, trying to give in a way. It comes at a lot of cost. But I think the reminder is, your why most constantly. For me, the reason why I write, the reason why I tell my story, the reason why I aspire to be better is that there might be some kid who look like me, who is also finding their path. And by reading my own story, by reading my own journey, there were so many people who didn't believe that they could create a tech product like an AI solution in the non-profit space. And because they saw that Ahmed did it, it gave them the courage. So they were reaching out, want to talk about your products, want to talk about Rafiki, I want to be something similar. For my work in menstrual health, I want to be something similar for my work in climate. So I started giving them the permission to create
Wow.
and build, right? And I
Wow.
think we need more models on the continent. But does it come at the cost? Yes, it does.
Yeah, sure.
It does, like, the challenge. Even people reaching out like, oh, I want to get on a call with you to discuss this ideas. Those things are, it's a lot of work. Sometimes I don't even have the time.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, some days ago I said maybe I should just, because like I still have a full-time job that I still do. I'm like, maybe I should just like, maybe I should just stop all this. Like, let me just stop all this. I just, if I doing my full-time job alone, nobody would hold me. But it's that when you have a mind of like the giving, you have the mind of like creating. I can't be that person who would stand idle and be like, oh, my weekend is to myself. Let me just, because weekends I work. You see me like working on a grant, working on a proposal on a weekend. In the evening, I would do like 9 to 5, and then I do 5 to 11. You know, working on things and creating things, and that's a lot. And in between, you still have to show up. You still have to, people with different, but you have to run. So it comes at a lot of, yeah. There's, and even for example, in my case, like I pay salary from my salary. That's how I've been able to keep things together, right? People are thinking,
Yeah.
oh, how is it that you've existed for the past 8 years? It comes at a personal cost too.
Paying salary from your own salary.
Paying salary
That's
from
very,
my own salary.
that's resonates so well. That's so
So
sweet.
so when people are thinking that, oh, it's rosy out there, but again, I'm grateful, right? That I'm able to do all of those things. I'm not relying totally on grant to be able to fund my own dreams. Like, I'm building a new product now. The money is coming from me. So I'm like, okay, if this grant doesn't come, that's me. I just go and build. Okay, the money is not coming. Okay, it's okay. It's fine. Let's leave that aside. Let me build. We would find the money, figure out the money later.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get the traction.
Let's get the traction. Let's get the work done. And those are the things that makes organizations sustainable. Leadership is sustainability, but most people don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. They,
People think
they,
money. I've seen people who have raised $2 million, $1 billion, 50 million, $300 million. The organization died
yeah.
even after raising those money. And when you look deeply, why the organization
They
died,
died.
leadership, sustainability
Yeah.
is leadership. It's
Yeah.
the
Wow.
capacity to hang in there, the capacity to do the work, the capacity to be like, I'm willing to roll up my sleeves no matter what. I've not really paid myself for the past 8 years.
I do want to. I do want to do that, but I'm still very sure. Okay, it will get to a point that okay, you cannot be paying yourself salary from
Yeah,
from the
but
things you do.
it's a journey. I've watched trajectory.
Yeah,
There's always that tipping point, that inflection point that before you know, one single thing changes, and that's why I
just one
believe
thing we just
just shifts the whole trajectory and the whole funding landscape for you. And that's why I believe that some people have
yeah
not worked enough even in their products. to understand it, to understand their own product life cycle in general before
Yeah,
they give up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for this insight. Trust me, me personally, it resonates so well. And yeah, across social media, not only social media, even in real life, everyone talks about African innovation.
Hmm.
But you have built something that actually works globally.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest lie people tell you about people? The biggest lie people tell about African tech that needs to be cut out.
Is the fact that it needs to be saved.
Hmm.
It doesn't, the African ecosystem or tech ecosystem or innovation ecosystem doesn't need to be saved. It's going to come from our own work, right? I was saying something that if you were to be, let's take, for example, a white person who created Rafiki, you know, for Africa, you understand the traction it must have probably make, in a way, because it was somebody else creating for us. But even me, that is an African who has created things for ourselves, right, for the continent, and also for the world in a way, he's not getting the traction